7, which is about circles in the coordinate plane. Have you guys done the equation of a circle before? Did you guys do that last year at all? Alright, so the equation of a circle is the following. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Now the center of the circle is going to be hk, and the radius is going to be r. So if you are looking at the equation of your circle, notice how this is a minus sign here, but when you pull it out, your h is positive. If you had a plus sign here, that would really mean you have minus a negative, so then when you'd write the center, your h value would be negative. Okay, so you can kind of think of this like the opposite. So we're going to write an equation of each circle here. So this is circle J, and it gives you the center 2, 2, and the radius of 4. So if the point of J is 2, 2, if that's the center, then that means your h value is 2, and your k value is 2. And then the radius of 4 means you're going to substitute 4 in for r. So first let's write down what the equation of the circle is. So the equation of the circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So let's see if we can substitute in those values for h and k and r. Go ahead and do that. Alright, so let's see how we did. So in place of h, we're going to have a 2, which means the x and the minus are going to stay the same. And then we're going to have y minus, and then k is 2. And then when we plug in 4, what's 4 squared going to be? 16. Okay, so you don't want to leave it as 4 squared in your final answer. You will simplify, and you will get 16. Okay, so r squared is 16. Okay, so that's what you can plug in. Okay, so notice this format. See how it says x minus 2? But when you pull out the center, it's going to be 2. And this would be 2 as well. Okay, and that's because of the format of your equation. All right, now for B, we are going to write an equation of the circle K that passes through J and has a center of K. All right, so which one of these is going to have my H and my K variable? Is it going to be J or K? K. So K is the center, okay, which means 1 is H, negative 8 is K. Okay, now we know that it passes through this point. And in order to write the equation of the circle, you only need 2 things. You need the center and the radius. What do we have? The center. So what do we need? The radius. Okay, so to find the radius, do you guys have any ideas on what we can use? Yeah, you can use the distance formula. So the first thing we're going to do is find r, which is the radius. And we're going to use the distance formula. Okay, so if circle K passes through this point, it means that this point is on the circle. And so we can use our distance formula to find out what our radius is by finding the distance between this point and the center. Because remember, the radius goes from the center to any point on the circle. So this is my x1, y1. This is my x2, y2. And then do we remember how to set up our distance formula? Yep, you're going to do x2 minus x1. And really, you could also do x1 minus x2. You just have to keep it that way. So 1 minus 6 squared plus negative 8 minus 4 squared. Okay, so this part I would do in my head, because what's 1 minus 6? Negative 5. And when you square negative 5, what do you get? 25. Okay, and then here you would have what? Negative 12, and then when you square that, you'd have positive 12. Because sometimes if you don't enter that in your calculator correctly, it might give you negatives. And yep, what's the square root of 169? 13. Okay, so that means that your radius is 13. So now I have enough information to write my equation of the circle. Okay, so I have my h and my k. I have 1, negative 8. And then if my r is 13, remember when you're substituting that into your equation, it's r squared. So 13 squared is going to be what? Xavier, I already put the notes in the worksheet bin. Okay, so then let's go ahead and substitute this in. Alright, so using my circle equation from above, I have x minus h. So I'm going to have x minus 1 squared plus, if I have y minus k, I have y minus a negative. And what's going to happen when you have minus a negative? It's going to turn into plus. And then 13 squared, we already found, was 169. So this is going to be my equation. Okay, so see how if I were given this equation, if I were to pull this out, this would be negative 8.
Can you also just plug in the coordinates into the equation? Find r squared?
Oh, like your x and your y? Yeah, that's a good idea. Right? So if you're using this equation here, you have the h and the k, you have a x and a y point that's on the circle. Yep, you could absolutely solve that. Yep, and you get the same thing. Square root of 169. Good. All right, and then the next thing we're going to look at is graphing the circle. So when you're graphing this circle, you want to pick out the radius and the center. Okay, so if you have x minus 3, what's your h going to be? Your h is going to be 3. Okay, so your center is going to be 3, comma. Now this is plus 4. So what am I going to have in my center? Negative 4. Okay, and again, that's because you can think of this as y minus negative 4. Because the form is minus, that's where the negative 4 is coming from. All right, and then what's my radius going to be?
3.
Yes. So how would you find that if you know that r squared is 9? Yep, good. And then because we're dealing with a length, we know that it's only going to be positive, so we don't have to worry about the negative. Okay, so then the first thing we're going to graph is the center. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, now how can I use the radius to help me find other points on the circle? Yeah. Okay, so I can just from the middle, right, I can go 3 spaces up. So 1, 2, 3. I could also go 3 spaces where? Down. So 1, 2, 3. Where else should I put them? To the right. 1, 2, 3. and left. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then when you connect this, I just find it easiest to connect 2 at a time to get your shape. And there is your circle. You can also, sometimes what I'll do is dash lines, and then I'll connect the points. Okay? Alright, so then your homework for tonight is on page 802. And then so after your quiz, you can do 1 through 8 and 10 through 17. Okay, and then once you have that written down, just go ahead